Platform as a Service, PaaS. Think of Platform as a Service, or PaaS, as the digital middle ground of cloud computing. If infrastructure as a service is like renting an empty office building where you have to move in your own furniture and set up the wiring, then PaaS is like renting a fully equipped, professional-grade kitchen. You don't have to worry about buying the ovens, maintaining the refrigerators, or fixing the plumbing. The landlord, or the cloud provider, handles all of that infrastructure for you. Your only job is to bring your recipes and your ingredients to cook a masterpiece. In the world of technology, those recipes are your code, and the ingredients are your data. For developers and IT professionals, PaaS is a powerful accelerator. It removes the grunt work of managing operating systems and servers, allowing teams to focus entirely on building and deploying applications. Part 1. The architecture of abstraction. The defining characteristic of PaaS is abstraction. In a traditional environment, a developer has to be part mechanic. They have to know how to patch a Linux kernel, how to configure a web server like Apache or Nginx, and how to manage database updates. In a PaaS model, the service provider, like Heroku, Google App Engine, or Microsoft Azure App Service, hides all of that complexity behind a curtain. The provider manages the physical hardware, the virtualization layer, hypervisor, the operating system, the middleware, like Java runtimes or net frameworks, and the database engines. The developer manages the application code itself and the data that the application uses. This creates a turnkey environment. When a developer is ready to test a new app, they don't spend 3 days setting up a server. They simply push their code to the platform, and the platform instantly provides everything the code needs to run and reach the public internet. Part 2. Why developers choose the platform. You might wonder why a company would choose PaaS over the raw control of IaaS. It usually comes down to 3 massive advantages: speed, collaboration, and standardization. Number 1. Speed to market. In a competitive business world, being first matters. PaaS allows a developer to go from an idea to a working prototype in hours rather than weeks. Because the plumbing is already done, they can spend 100% of their mental energy on the features of the app that users actually care about. Number 2. Seamless collaboration. Modern software is built by teams, often spread across different time zones. PaaS provides a unified, web-based environment where everyone is working on the exact same version of the platform. You never have to hear the nightmare phrase, "But it worked on my computer." If the code works on the platform for one person, it works for everyone. Number 3. Built-in scalability. This is perhaps the most impressive feature. Imagine you build a mobile game that suddenly goes viral. In a traditional setup, your servers would crash instantly under the pressure. In a PaaS environment, the platform is elastic. It notices the spike in traffic and automatically spins up extra copies of your app to handle the load. When the crowd leaves, it scales back down, saving you money. Part 3. The middleware and the runtime. For your technical certifications, you must understand the term middleware. This is the hidden layer of software that sits between the operating system and the application. Think of it like the translation layer. If your application is written in Python, it needs a Python runtime to understand the instructions. If it uses a SQL database, it needs a database engine to store the information. In a PaaS model, the provider maintains these runtimes. They ensure that the Python, Java, or Ruby environment is always patched, secure, and running the latest stable version. As a technician, this is a massive relief because Patch Tuesday is no longer your problem. It's the provider's problem. Part 4. The shared responsibility model in PaaS. Every cloud model has a different contract regarding who is responsible for security. In PaaS, the line is drawn right at the application layer. The provider's responsibility. They are responsible for the physical to middleware stack. This means they secure the data center, the physical servers, the hypervisors, the operating system kernels, and the runtimes. If there is a security flaw in the underlying Linux OS, it is the provider's job to fix it immediately. Your responsibility: you are responsible for the application and data. If you write sloppy code that allows for a SQL injection attack, the provider cannot save you. You are also responsible for who has access to the platform. If a developer uses a weak password or doesn't use multi-factor authentication, a hacker can log in and delete your entire project. In short, the provider secures the kitchen. You make sure why. Oh, don't leave the stove on, or let a stranger into the pantry. Part 5, the trade-offs, lock-in and customization. While PaaS sounds like a dream, it does have constraints that a high-level technician must consider. The first is vendor lock-in. Because every PaaS provider has slightly different ways of handling databases or networking, it can be very difficult to move an app from Google App Engine to Microsoft Azure. You might have to rewrite parts of your code to make it fit the new kitchen. The second is limited customization. Because the provider is managing the operating system, you cannot change it. If your application requires a very specific, rare modification to the Linux kernel to run correctly, PaaS won't allow it. In that case, you would have to downgrade to IaaS so you could have total control over the OS. Part 6, comparing the cloud trinity. To ensure you are ready for any exam question, let's look at how PaaS fits between its two siblings. IaaS infrastructure: you rent the hardware. You manage the OS, the middleware, and the app. High control, high effort. PaaS platform: you rent the tools. The provider manages the OS and middleware. You manage the app and data. Balanced control and speed. SaaS software: you rent the finished product. The provider manages everything. You just use the app. Low control, zero effort. Summary for the professional technician. To lock this in for your professional career, remember these core PaaS principles. First, PaaS is for builders. It is designed for developers who want to create software without worrying about the underlying servers. Second, it manages the runtime and middleware. The platform handles the engine that runs your code, ensuring it is always updated and secure. Third, it offers point-and-click scalability. You can scale your application to millions of users with almost zero manual configuration of hardware. Finally, you are responsible for your code. The security of the application logic and the privacy of the user data remain firmly in your hands.